Good morning. I just was reading the Sunday school lesson today and got a revelation, and I just wanted to share it or get it down. So I'm coming out of some Matthew, the seventh chapter, and the verses are verses 4, 24 through 29. And I'm just going to read them, and then I'm going to tell you what the revelation that the Lord shared with me. Therefore, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him unto a wise man who built his house on a rock. And when the rain descended, the flood came, and the winds blew and beat on the house. It did not fall, for it was founded on the rock. And whoever hears these sayings of mine and does not do them, when the will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And when the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on the house. It fell, and great was its fall. Okay. Then the other part of that it says, and it was so when Jesus had ended these sayings that the people were astonished at his teachings, for he taught them as one having authority and not as the scribes. Okay, so there's a few things that I got out of that, and I just wanted to share them today. So just ignore everything else. Okay, so first, he talks about hearing and doing. So it's extremely important that as we hear the word, that we are able to do the word, or that we take the word and its importance and apply it to our lives. So he considers people that hear the word of God and do the word of God as being wise. And then how we understand that as being wise, or what we consider to be wise, is what we do after we've heard the word and done the word, or the word has been applied in our lives. And so when trouble comes, which is the wind, the rain, the flood, and the wind. And so when trouble comes, we apply the word of God to our lives. We don't panic. We don't get all in the uproar. And I'm not saying you're not going to have issues or problems. I'm just saying that we use the word according to the way God allows it to be applied in our lives. And then at the end of it, what determines whether or not we're wise or whether or not we actually apply the word is that we will be still standing. So then he says, hearing and not doing, he considers the person to be foolish. And so, foolish and on sand, with sinking sand. Think about quicksand, how we're constantly moving and struggling, trying to get out of a situation, and it actually pulls us in deeper. And he said that when trouble comes, it falls. In other words, you're not able to stand in the Word of God, or you're not able to stand with what God is trying to tell you to do, or you're not able to stand and understand, or you are trying to rationalize or reason out why this is not working. But it's really because you're not applying the word the way God gave it to you. And each one of us have our own personal situations and circumstances that God is sharing with us and is showing us what to do. So, and then I wanted to talk about the rain and the wind, the rain, the flood, and the wind, and what God shared with me. So the rain, we get rain all the time. So we know the rain is our daily struggles, our daily issues, our daily problems, which we need to apply the Word of God to. And so that's the rain. So the flood is actually some things or situations that are a little bit overwhelming. Sometimes they come out of nowhere. You're not really looking for a situation to happen or occur, but those things just come out of there and kind of knock you off your feet, kind of like when Paul was knocked off the horse, or Saul in that case, was knocked off the horse and blinded by the situation. And Jesus was letting them know, there's some situations in our lives that knock us off our feet. But it doesn't mean that we can't get up and continue to go. It just means that it stopped us for just a second in our lives. And so that's what we consider to be the floater. That's what God shared with me, was the flood. And so the winds, this is the beginning. It kind of sounds like, okay, wind, yeah. But this is actually the beginning of storms. If you ever realize or think about a storm that come, they have like great winds and great howlings of the winds that actually come right before a storm. And so these situations are things that are happening on a consistent basis in our lives, that just kind of like, kind of like a wrecking our lives to a certain extent. And if you think about wind and how winds can knock trees down, and how it can beat up on a thing so much that it destroys it. So those are the things in our lives, or those secret sins or different situations in our lives that we haven't allowed God to deal with in our situations. But it says that the word of God can apply all these things, can apply them all. If we apply the word of God to all these things, we will be like the wise man, and we will be able to stand. Just wanted to share just a little bit with you. All right. Have a great weekend, and God bless.